So I just replaced the boot on my R1200GS Adventure Telelever ball joint. It is possible to do it yourself. It's not a 5-minute job like they say on Facebook, the groups, or on YouTube. So let's quickly run through what you need to know. The first thing is you have to pop off this plastic cap. So that is fairly easy. You just pop it off like they say. Then you have to remove this nut. Now this is on there at 130 Newton meters, and it's fitted with blue Loctite from the factory, so it doesn't just come off. One of the videos I looked, they said just remove the nut, very easy. It's not. So the problem is that it's a ball joint, so the nut spins, or the joint spins, but you'll see in there's a Allen head or a hex head hole. So I put the Allen key in there. I fitted an extension, so this is just a piece of aluminum pipe that I had, jammed it against the fork there, and then put the open end spanner on top of it. Now the thing is, you get a special tool that's like a diesel injector socket with a hole cut in it, so you can put that on your torque wrench or a long extension, and then with the Allen key in between or inside that hole. I don't have that tool, so what I ended up using is this, but you can't get that thing loose. So I ended up taking a spanner, which is like super sketchy, and extended this whole thing with that Allen key in the middle there. But then I realized there's that blue Loctite on there. Someone told me, I think on Facebook. So you just heat it up. Apparently you have to heat it up to 120 degrees Celsius to melt the Loctite, and then it should come loose. What I ended up using was an extension bar, because I bent the Allen head completely. I twisted it. Then I used this long extension with this tool on there. So it's a hex head that goes into a socket onto the long extension, and then I cracked it loose, and it was slow going because you can see there's this brake hose in the way, and I actually bent it slightly because I was a bit too ambitious. But you only have this much to move each time, so it took quite a while. It took me most of the afternoon stopping, starting to get that nut off. But once it was off, that was fine. And then luckily on the Adventure model, so I've got the GS Adventure, the suspension is long enough so you don't have to remove the shock behind there. Some people remove the shock, others loosen the forks there and drop them a bit. What I did was just hooked a pair of straps on either side, hung it from the roof, lifted up the bike, and the wheel just dropped out. So that was easy. From there on it was easy. I felt the ball joint was completely fine, cleaned it up thoroughly, inspected the ball joint. It's quite an expensive part. It's 10 times the price as just the boot. Then also something else they don't tell you is that this little snap ring comes off. It's blue, so I assume this is the blue ring of death that they talk about. And I assume the name comes from, I couldn't find any information on this, for the fact that it's such a mission to get this thing back on again. So I just threw it out. The new boot actually slots perfectly into a groove there on the top and the bottom. Obviously I greased it properly with moly grease. This is what I used. Not sure which type of grease I should have used. This is this nice black stuff that you put in front axles of cars like this, Suzuki, with those Burfield joints. So I put that in there, lubed it up, popped the boot on, which was easy because there was more than enough space in there. And then I just lifted the wheel with my hand, threaded the nut on, blue Loctite, and then the next thing is to torque it down. So this was also tricky. I took the torque wrench. I assumed it's going to be straightforward. Put the torque wrench on the ball joint with the hex nut on in the middle. Put it in reverse, obviously, because you have to hold this. And then just tighten the nut with the ring spanner with the extension on. And I thought the torque wrench is going to click as you reach the torque, but apparently not. So what I ended up doing was just put the long extension on the hex nut in the middle. and then extended the open-ended wrench or the ring spanner, and there's just cranked it as far as I could, or as tight as I can. But there's obviously Loctite on there, so it should be fine. And I think this is almost as much or the same amount of thread that's out. Well, it's almost one round of thread at the top there, and I think that is sort of what it was like before I started. I'll just keep an eye on it for the first few days or weeks. Obviously it's quite an important part, you don't want it to come out. And now we just pop back this plastic cap, and that is, as they say, it. But it was definitely not as easy as I thought. Nothing really is ever as easy as they say for me. And also for some reason I end up making a huge mess. And I sweat a lot and swear a lot. But anyways, that was it. And let me know if you have any questions. What I find is that you must just do it until you get stuck and then start reading up. Don't do it the other way around, which I tend to do. I tend to read up and watch videos and ask questions way before I start, and waste a lot of time. Just do it until you get stuck and then ask and then continue, and you'll get there. Let me know, and yeah, see you next time.